Yeah, Coach. In the last game, was there a common thread on the third downs? Been able to look at that?
Yeah, I think, as you look at the entirety of the last, couple weeks, each third down has its own story, and you're looking for common themes. Each are different plays, different coverages. We definitely got to clean that up. We definitely got to execute when we have chances to. We got to make sure we have the right answers for the guys, as coaches, all those things. We got to communicate. The first third down, we get to a check and one of the guys, doesn't get it, and so it results in a strip sack. So we got to get that stuff off the tape for sure. We also can do a better job avoiding third and longs. We've been, the first 5 weeks, I think we were the lowest in the league in terms of the amount of third and longs, and we were, pretty efficient on third downs. Now the last 5 weeks we've been in way too many third and long situations, which are going to be difficult, but that can help with early down efficiency. And so all those things kind of factor into it from first, second down to third down. But when we get those chances, no matter what the D&D is on third down, we got to find a way. We're putting obviously a big emphasis on it with the pass protection and routes and just connecting on things. And then, like I said, as coaches, just making sure we got the right answers for the guys.
The one common thing, or maybe it wasn't, was the 3 of them were sacks after the one miss early. Did you clean up the sacks, or
I think
the whole 40? Is that?
Yeah, for sure. We'll work. Any of the things that have shown up on tape that we've had difficulty picking up. From a line game standpoint, making sure we're all clean with some of the pass offs up front. But yeah, we look at all of it. We look at route detail. We look at what's going on up front. All those things that are playing a factor into it.
On that note, do you feel like Mike's clock has sped up a little bit with the pressures that have been kind of getting in his face relatively early?
Yeah, I can't say, because he's also had some really good reps, throughout the season too. And again, those third and longer, when you're trying to get stuff, past the sticks and make sure that you can convert that third down, it is going to take a tick, and you need that extra click to hold up in pro. So I don't feel that way from him, personally, but again, we gotta block better around him. We got to make sure that we do get the right signals when he gets to the right check. All those things, have a factor of it, and then just throwing and catching and executing when we can.
Third down, I think it was in the second quarter, where he hit the ball, snapped, and Jake Matthews stood there basically, and the other 4.
Yep.
What happened on that play?
Yeah, it was very similar to the Patriots at the end of that game as well. We just got to make sure the operation is clean. If Mike's making a protection adjustment, we got to hold our water, up front, and making sure that, like I said, that we got to make sure that the snap operation is first and foremost. So a little bit of miscommunication up front with Newsel, and we definitely got to get that cleaned up, because that's been 2 weeks in a row that we've had kind of killer plays on those.
Kind of on that same note, you've had some issues with some stunts, especially on third down and stuff like that. Is that something that comes down? Is that Newsel making the protection?
Yeah, it's everybody involved with it. Mike handles protection for a young quarterback as well as any QB I've been around, no matter their age. And so he does a great job getting us in and out of the right looks, the right protection calls. And then it's just hey, it might be one thing on this. You might see a different stunt the next time, and making sure that we're passing those things off when we can, and making sure we get those pockets so that we can get those things down the field developed and execute at the end of the day. But, yeah, we're working on that stuff constantly. Weeks past, we'll obviously emphasize it big time this week, make sure those things get cleaned up.
We were talking to Raheem earlier about, Mike and how he puts a lot on himself, right? He's very hard on himself, which he's also discussed with us. And I was just wondering, as someone who played quarterback, like, how important is kind of about tunnel vision when it comes to that type of stuff, and just kind of, it's got to be difficult, right? So to just flush that and move on to the next.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, I think at the end of the day, you have to give yourself some grace, and knowing how difficult this game is, knowing the immense pressure that goes into that position, being the franchise quarterback, all the different, expectations that come with young quarterbacks. I mean, we can kind of obviously jump on these guys super early in their career and not even give them a chance to develop. Obviously, there's stories across the league with that happening. So he's hard on himself. He is, because he's so competitive. He wants to do right. He's a perfectionist in every way, every throw, every protection adjustment, everything he does. And so that's the biggest message, and that's really for any players. Like, give yourself some grace. This is a hard game. Game of football is an imperfect game, and are there going to be plays throughout the game that every player wants back for sure. Are there play calls as coaches that you want back? 100%. That comes with the territory of the game that we play and how difficult it is, with some of these opponents. So I have I know Mike's going to bounce back. He always does. He came in the next day. He was good. Those guys typically, like anybody, it takes a full 24 hours to flush out the previous week. But he's always been able to reset himself and get onto that next opponent, which is exactly what I saw, the past couple days, and expect him to play really well. He's played really good football. You look at every game he's played in. We've had a chance to win, and that's all you can ask. I think he's young, he's still developing. You don't want him to be too hard on himself because it's a maturation process as any young quarterback goes through. But really, outside of the Carolina game when we were all a mess, he's given us a chance to win every single week. Now we just got to close the deal and finish some of these games.
Penix has had 3 intentional grounding calls. I think 2 of them were kind of in key situations. Is that something that kind of is a growing process with a young quarterback, or are there certain situations where you'd rather take that than?
Yeah, I think all have been a little bit different. Some of them have been the pattern of which the rush ended up distributing that ended up difficult for him to get out there and throw it away. Obviously, the one against New England, the snap, came early, and then we got guys moving or guys not moving where their defense is moving. So all of them have been different. I think the one the other day would have been incredibly difficult to get out. He's trying his best to get it out. So we coach that up all the time. Can you find somebody to throw it at their feet? For sure. Some of those are just like, man, that the way that the rush distributed, it would be difficult to get those. So kind of comes with it, but it's definitely something we continue to emphasize, making sure that we can dirt at somebody's feet when we get a chance.
What makes Tyler Allgeier a unique runner?
Strong, powerful, got great vision, great feel for setting up blocks. He is very patient. And then when he sees it, his shoulders are square to the line of scrimmage, and he's able to hit it. So he's one of the more instinctive, just in terms of his vision and what he can see and how to set up his first level blocks, ultimately for the second level that I've been around. So he's a special runner. It's awesome to get him going last week on some looks. So can't say enough good things about Ty in the run game, pass protection. He's super stout in there. So it was awesome to see a good performance from Ty last week.
Who works with Mike in terms of footwork stuff? Raheem said today on some of those balls he needs to get his feet better.
Yeah, it's all of us. Obviously DJ's leading the charge in there. Ken Zampese's in the quarterback room as well, and I'm obviously out there as well. So it's all of us. We're all communicating every day. We're a pretty close-knit group in that quarterback room. So it's all of us, and so got to make sure that the habits that you create in practice translate to the game. Definitely can clean up some of those things from a fundamental and technique standpoint, but yeah, it's all of us collectively. Mike giving us his feedback on things, kind of all working together.
Footwork sometimes a tougher coaching ask for guys who have so much arm talent. I wonder if they've just
It definitely can come up, John. No, it's a really good point you bring up, because there's some guys that you can just get away with it, like you're saying, with a strong arm, especially throwing to your dominant hand side. You feel like all right, I can make this throw, I can flick it out there, and that's definitely some emphasis that we have with all of our quarterbacks, doesn't matter who it is. And so getting your feet aligned to the throw, shoulder close to the target, some of the different coaching points that we always have is something that we coach up every QB that we have.
Every team and every season is different, but you were part of the 2023 staff in LA when they started 3-6 and then went on a 7-1 run to make the playoffs. What lessons can you use from that season to help this team? Yeah, no, it's we talked about it this morning, actually. We brought it up, and been super honest. Our record is what it is, but we have a chance to start 0-0. And I remember, that team, we were able to just reset ourselves, and we said, we just got to win each and every day. All right, we got to have the best practice. We got to have the best walkthrough. We got to have the best Thursday practice, Friday, Saturday. Set yourself up to just go play free. I thought that season, I remember just the freedom that guys ended up playing with throughout the rest of the season. It's like, hey, our record is what it is. Allow yourself to just cut it loose and go play. And it was reflective the way that the whole team responded. Offensively, obviously we had Stafford leading the way. He did an unbelievable job with some young guys. And defensively, Raheem had those guys rolling. So that was the biggest thing, was just we reset it. Hey, we're 0-0.
whatever happened in the past does not matter. It's really about going forward with everything. But like I said, just having that ability to just cut yourself loose, just let the results be what they are. Just go play football and let the chips fall where they may.
Do you think this team can make that quick mental switch even without the bye that the Rams had that season?
I think so. I think we're obviously 2 very tough losses. You know, we got to find a way to win those close games. You know, as an offense, when we get a chance to go back out there, we got to find a way. And so I think the way that this team has trended, obviously we've had a couple lulls, but I mean, it's an ultra competitive team overall. It's as close of a team as I've ever been around, whether it's players to players, coaches to coaches, coaches to players. I've mentioned in here a few times. I mean, it is a ultra tight-knit group, especially, you know, obviously we deal with the offense, but seeing those guys' interaction, offense and defense. So have no doubt that, we got to get this thing fixed. We got to get it fixed in a hurry, but we'll stick to our process, knowing there's extra urgency for sure, but we just got to keep trucking.
First time you get to see an opponent for a second time, how much does what you saw earlier this season matter, or do you totally wipe that?
Yeah, I think you definitely take it into consideration for sure. That game got so out of whack early that there's a lot of that game you can kind of take out just because we had so few opportunities in the first half, and obviously we didn't play the way we wanted. But you definitely look at it. You look at some of the things that they did, some of the things that you still had on the call sheet that maybe you didn't call the first game. Does it still apply to how they're playing? They've changed up a couple of things here and there. Playing really, really good football. It's a sound team. You can tell they communicate at a high level, really across the board, from front to the second level to the third level. So it's a good team, and they've got good players on that side, good coaches. So it'll be a good challenge.
How do you get Deshaun back up and going? Is it as simple as just giving him the block more, or how do you focus on doing that?
Yeah, I think he'll naturally get it within the flow of everything. Obviously we have times where him and Ty are out on the field, and maybe based on the defensive look, B gets it. Based on the defensive look, Ty gets it. And so those opportunities will come up as the flow of the game. Ty was running so well at certain points of that game, and Coach Petrie did a great job kind of riding the hot hand with Ty in some of those instances. And then, like I mentioned, we also had B out there, as a possible, RPO throw if we didn't have the right look to run it. So, he'll get going. I thought he had a great game last week, with his opportunities he had, and we'll just continue to find different creative ways to get him the football.
As far as the other wide receivers are concerned, Drake's having obviously a tremendous year, but they say stats are for losers, right? But he has more receptions, more targets, more yards, touchdowns than the rest of the receivers combined. How do you get those other guys up and going?
Yeah, I think it's just continuing to those guys trust their process. I think David Sills ran some great routes the other night. He didn't get the football. We had one opportunity on the third down. We just missed him. But the ball is going to find you as long as you're putting on good stuff on tape, and your route detail, your separation technique, all those things that we emphasize. We just say, hey, the ball is going to find you. A lot of the time, hey, it might be going to number one, but we see you on the backside there. If Mike does have to click off it, we can see you win on the backside. And then Mooney, he's so close to breaking out. I'm excited to see when that's going to come up. Obviously, he had the huge pass interference that he drew the other day. Doesn't go down in the stat sheet, but ultimately that put us down in a scoring position there. So, he's very close to breaking out. I can feel it in practice. You can feel it. I think we mentioned in here last week the same thing. So I'm looking forward to those guys just continue to trust their process, knowing the ball is going to find you as long as you're doing the right job.
Zach, do you have to show them the tape and say, hey, just make the play? And you had 3 touchdowns this weekend. Pitts drops a touchdown. Mike Pitts on a fade route. You got the screenplay. Drake gets a block. It's a walk-in touchdown. Do you have to show them that stuff?
I think it's all of us collectively. I can also show them maybe a bad play call I had. So like all those things, collectively. I think those guys, nobody's more disappointed when that happens than the players. And so we'll obviously, when we correct it on the tape, those are hard moments, because they look at the tape and you say, gosh, I got to hit that. I got to make that catch. So we have players that we were talking about Mike, ultra hard on themselves. Same thing with Kyle, really all those guys. And so they expect a lot of themselves. We expect a lot out of them. But, the tape, there's not really much to say, because they do hold themselves to such a high standard.
Anything else?
All good? All right, thanks.
All right, thanks, Coach.
Caden Ellis was pretty honest in the locker room after the game, where it's like, we're close, but close isn't good enough anymore. Do you see that message kind of permeating around the team, where it's like, we got to get over this hump?
Yeah, there's no doubt. The DNA of this team, and for me, the defense, just because that's what I spend all my time with. It's interesting, and we're very fortunate. It's a group that is 100% thumb pointing in every way. Coaches and players alike. What can we do to get over this hump? And we all have to look in the mirror, and we all have to elevate and continue to. Our process is what drives us, and we have to make our process even better than it's ever been. World-class meetings, world-class walkthroughs, world-class practice, and I'm fortunate because this group is 100% all in on that. Today was, so far, the best meetings, the best walkthroughs, and the best practice that we've had since I've been here. So excited about what that would say about this group.
Coach, you 244 yards were a franchise record yielded. On film review, what did you see that you all need to fix in the run defense?
Yeah, obviously the big one was a byproduct of, they thought he was tackled, and that's on all of us that happened. That was on my watch and every player that was on the field at that moment, and that can't happen. It just can't. There's absolutely zero excuses, and we got to finish through the echo of the whistle, and we didn't. And then beyond that, there was 50 yards from the quarterback, so we got to do a better job regarding that. I have to do a better job sometimes with the calls, and sometimes the players have to do a better job rushing them with a little bit more discipline and vision and extension. And the combination of those two things, we can be so much better at, And then ultimately the rest of those yards were one too many explosives, where, one guy misfits and it's out. And those except fors can't exist with a world-class defense. They can't exist on a winning defense like we're striving to be.
And your running back challenge this week against Rico Dowdle and Hubbard is back.
Yeah, it's interesting, playing Dallas when Rico was there. I remembered him and I had great regard for him, but he's taking his game to a whole nother stratosphere. Not only, he always had speed and athleticism, he always had vision, he always could create, even when there wasn't anything there. He's running with a violence and with an attitude and with a chip on his shoulder that you don't see very often. He's got a little bit of the attitude of Pacheco, the guy from Kansas City, and if you think you're going to tackle this guy with an arm tackle, you're 100% absolutely wrong, and you got to assume that there is going to be no one-on-one tackles. It's going to take us all to get population to the ball and put them down. But collectively, from a run defense standpoint, we got to play better. And I got to do a better job putting them in the right positions to play better.
You're not 3 games without Divine Diablo. What have you seen from those guys at the second level, and just the way it's kind of worked out?
Yeah, we've, like I said, when Divine got hurt, it was going to be a little bit by committee, and we're going to utilize, whether it be JD or Ronnie and Josh played this past game, so everybody's had a piece of that, and uniquely enough, even Billy Bowman becomes a part of that equation when he came back, because he plays nickel, but at times that nickel is like a stacked linebacker. So I've felt like steady improvement, from all those guys. The more they get to play, the more opportunities they have, the better they've performed. A guy that it was really cool to see, and it's just unfortunate that we lost him last game, was Josh Woods. He came in there, and he's just one of those unique force multipliers because he brings attitude and enthusiasm and really authentic toughness, and you could feel him, bringing energy that maybe some other guys, it's just unique to him, and I feel like Ronnie continues to elevate his game, and I was fired up for JD to make that big fourth down stop. So those guys are getting better, and they're growing, and also at the same time, hopefully Divine comes back soon.
How does Jalen Walker being on the field affect your defense?
Yeah, he's a ball player, man, and what you see is the ball player part. You see the run defense. You see a guy that, he just gets to the ball. He might do it a little unique way and different way, but but he's going to be productive. He's going to find a way to affect the ball in a major way. And he's a guy that's starting to learn how to rush from the edge, which is really cool to see, because as we all know, that's just time on task, and that's a skill set that's really hard to develop, and he's getting better and better and better at it. What you don't see is the leader that he is, the voice that he has, the command of the group that he has. It's as unique as I've ever been around for a rookie. You know, he feels like I'm not exaggerating at all, he feels like a 10-year vet. The way that he commands the group, the way he speaks, the confidence that he has, the aura that he carries, it will not take him very long to be a captain here, in my opinion.
How does that manifest itself on the field? How does that aura and that command?
I've always felt like guys like that. The one thing promised in this game is adversity. You know, the gonna hit the fan in some capacity, one way or another, and that's promised. And in those moments, who on that field has that resiliency, that toughness, that leadership to say, guys, clear, that play's over with, let's move on, let's do what it takes to, you know. He is that guy for us. He's the guy that when the inevitable adversity hits, you know, we'll be better because of him on the field.
Anything else? What do you see from just all right, let me start over. When you compare what the Panthers are from week 3 to what they are now, this is the first time you've seen an opponent for a second time this season.
Right.
How much of what your game plan is going back to that, and how much of it is adjusting to what they've done since then?
Yeah, I really feel like prior to our first game, just like all of us in the youth of the season, the beginning of a season, you're trying to figure out who you are and trying to figure out the roster, and you're trying to figure out how to utilize each guy's strengths, how to hide certain guys' weaknesses, and you're trying to find your identity. And I don't know if anybody, what week was that we played them? Week 3. I don't know if anybody really knows who they are at that point. So it's been interesting. I really feel like that second half of our game, when they really leaned on their run game and they got that established, and we could have done a much better job in that game, but I felt like that was where they kind of found who they were. You know, and it feels like since that second half of our game, they've really started to lean on a run game that's been tops in the NFL from that point on.
And then the development of Bryce, just what have you seen from him?
Yeah, just a guy that's every week you see more and more confidence, you know, command of the offense. And I've always looked at quarterbacks' feet, like the quieter the feet, the more confidence, the more assured they are regarding their reads and their progressions and all that they go through. And I just feel like he's coming into his own, and you're starting to see the guy that you know, why he was picked first overall.
You mentioned Jalen already, but as far as another young player, not a rookie, but a younger player who's coming along, is Brandon Carolina. Several sacks in the last couple of games.
Yep.
What have you seen from him?
Gosh, I could not be more pleased with him in every way. You know, I've spoke on this before, just regarding how we challenged him early, and he's just responded to every single challenge that we've had. And, he has this tremendous love for football, and like, it's just infectious, you know, and the more you're around him, the more you just fall in love with the kid, because he's just, not only does he love it, but he's willing to work hard at it, and he's constantly attacking his weaknesses. He's constantly elevating people around him. He's encouraging. He's obsessed with the game. So just a guy that we're lucky to have, and a guy that's going to continue to ascend because of his attitude and his makeup.
Do you miss getting questions about the missing pass rush? And and on the other side, do you have to make any tweaks maybe to lessen that emphasis to better address the run defense?
Yeah, we definitely, we looked at it from a schematic standpoint these past couple weeks, and we continue to refine it and nail it down. We've even looked from a personnel standpoint, you know, how we can best utilize the guys that are on this roster. And does that mean D.O. plays more on the rundowns and less on the pass rush downs, and the guys that are really suited for that lifestyle, that, you know, the physicality that's necessary to stop the run in this league? Who are the best guys equipped to do that are on this roster? You know, so yeah, we had to reassess that a bit, you know, and definitely these last couple weeks. And I know it didn't show last week, and we didn't play close to good enough regarding stopping the run, but we got to get better at that. And I promise you, there's being a light shone on it.
Broad of question, and not asking for your specific strategy here, but heard Greg Olson talking about defensive strategies in terms of matching personnel nowadays,
Yep.
and how offenses will come out in 12 and 13 specifically to get teams to bring their base out,
Yep.
only then to spread them out and throw the ball in those situations. And that the way he would do it, he proposed, like, I would just look at down and distance charts and like what the probabilities are there more, as opposed to trying to match whatever personnels are coming out. I'm just wondering if, like, what you think about that, and just how if your perspective has changed on that, because he said this has really been over the last 10 years or so, this kind of thing has been.
It's a real thing, yeah. And, you know, I'm fortunate and unfortunate that my first run through Atlanta, we played Sean Payton twice a year, and we played Drew Brees twice a year. I really feel like he was in the forefront of that. You know, he's a guy that's going to throw every single personnel grouping at you with the intent to get what he wants. You know, if he thinks you're a predictable defense when he puts 13 personnel, he's going to live in 13 personnel. If he thinks you're predictable in 11, he's going to throw out. So it's powerful from both sides. For one, to Greg's point, like, there's a part when you face an offense like that where you do have to call it on the situation in the D&D over the actual personnel grouping. But then there's a balance within that too, because guys can pivot really fast on you and all right, you want to go little to 13, then we're going to run this ball down your throat, you know. So it's the game that's being played right now, and it feels like more and more people have approached the game like Sean Payton, in that they'll throw a lot of different things out of there just because whatever they think that they can predict what you're going to be in. I feel like it's kind of been in vogue the last couple years defensively, where we've done that to offenses. You know, you throw 11 and we throw base. You throw 13 and we throw dime, and doing the same to them to see how they respond. And so it's the game that we will forever play between offense and defense.
Does that affect kind of how you prefer, like, player prototypes in terms of, like, I would imagine it means you need kind of more players to be more versatile.
Absolutely.
In situations.
Absolutely. Yeah, that's where guys like Caden Ellis are so powerful. Divine Diablo is so powerful. Caden, okay, for example, throw 13 personnel out there and we're in nickel. Caden can immediately go to the line of scrimmage and create a 5 down front, which there's so much power in that. That same personnel grouping, you throw 10 personnel out there, I can go 4 down and we can play essentially nickel to it. So it's extremely important to have those type of players that have that type of versatility. And we're fortunate enough here, we have quite a few of them. You know, you'd like to say Jalen Walker will become that for us. You'd like to think Divine will continue to assume new roles for us. But yeah, that ability to play different positions, and it's huge, and it's a huge reason that we're having some success with guys like Hayden.
Tyler, you're at 6 rushing touchdowns in this season alone already. That tops your previous season high of 3, double it. How are you feeling this season about your performance?
Shoot, I feel like we're doing pretty well. I think it should be better if we're winning, but I know that's what we're striving for, and that's what we're striving every week to do. So I think the performance, obviously it happens and stuff, but just making sure we're putting ourselves in the best situation, or that I can, for us to win. Shoot.
Raheem said,
Oh yeah, go ahead.
Raheem said you're the least talked about superstar on the team. How does it make you feel when you hear Raheem say something like that?
Dude, it's awesome. I think that's for sure a privilege, but I think work's still not done. Still got 8 games left? 8 games left. So I think should just gotta keep proving everyone, prove that I guess I am. But should just keep doing what I can to do to help the team win.
Why do you think you and Bijan complement each other so great out there?
Yeah, Bijan's just so elusive. I'm the more power, but like you can't sleep on Bijan because he has some power with him as well. But I feel like I have some elusiveness as well. So I think just feeding off each other and just working within each other as well, just learning from each other. From day one to now, I think we've grown so much, and our bond's just been awesome ever since.
Penix was very complimentary about you as well, but he also said you're a little goofy. So
I might have supplied him with that word.
Yeah.
That's pretty good.
So what is it about you that you kind of bring the lightheartedness and goofiness into the locker room?
You gotta let the guys tell you stories, but hopefully, I'll let the guys tell you stories.
Okay, I gotta go ask them. Okay.
What's going through your mind when you line up at the 1-yard line and know you're getting the ball?
Gotta score. I think that's the most important thing. Yeah, I think really just scoring. Don't let one guy tackle me, whether it's a good play or bad. Just knowing we're gonna end in the end zone. So I think that's the kind of the mindset I have.
Zach said you're really patient at the line, letting the first block set themselves so you can get to the second too. Do you feel patient in the moment, or are you like antsy?
For sure. I mean, shoot, I feel like at this point in my career, for sure, just reading it out, I think I feel like I'm pretty comfortable with the scheme and with everything. You know, it just comes with studying and reps and so much that goes a part of it. But I feel like, for sure, not antsy. I know where to hit the ball for the most part, especially if it's, yeah, say that.
Do you feel like this offense is very close to clicking, like on all cylinders?
Hands down. I think it's just like the little things, whether it's the details. It's really just details and then just execution. So I think but like we're just one play away. Just whether it's getting that first down, not getting that 3 and out. And I think once we work towards that, and obviously we're still growing towards that. So we did better scoring in the red zone. So I think that was a really plus. But then just getting out on those first in or the 3 and outs. I think we're behind the sticks with that, so I think it should be good going towards it.
Raheem talked about that. He had to have a conversation with Michael about being like really hard on himself, and he's putting a lot of the blame on himself when he said it's not just him, it's everybody. Do you kind of notice that in Michael, and do you ever say anything to him like, "Hey man, it's not on you. Like, you know, we got your back too."
Yeah, I feel like he knows that it shouldn't be. Or, I mean, like, because I take self accountability as well. So I think like for me, like, with everything that's happening, like I blame me. What can I do better? What can I do to help Mike? What can I do to help the receivers? Like whether it's pass pro, just one more second, or if my track's a little tight, what if I was a little step wider? So it's kind of like that. So I think he's doing a great job just honing that within himself and asking those questions as well. Just I think holding ourselves accountable and and we're striving for greatness. So I think that's the most important thing.
You have a rematch with Carolina this Sunday. I know all games are important, especially when you want to get a win, but a divisional game, your third divisional game of the season, how important is this game coming up?
Yeah, I mean, obviously it's important, like you said, a divisional game, but it's just the next game up. It's a chance for us to go 1-0. Obviously, what happened last game, or the last time we played them happened, but I think we're a different team now. They're a different team, so it should be a really good game. It should be fun.
Do you feel like you're having a stronger season for yourself personally? Results, like, forgotten for a moment?
I don't know. I guess so. I don't know. Yeah, I'm not sure actually. I mean, I'm not happy with the yards per carry. I feel like that's good. I mean, obviously it could be better, but minus the goal line or like just like the short yardage stuff, you can average that. But like besides that, I guess it's pretty good. I just do whatever I can to win, I guess, or doing whatever I can for the team to help win. So just doing whatever we can whenever the opportunity comes.
Some players kind of turn into a different mode when they go on the field. Do you have that? And Zach was kind of talking about when you lower your shoulder, it's game over. Is that moment?
It's for sure a mindset thing. Yeah, I think. Yeah. Wait, say that again.
Like he said, when you lower your shoulder to get into the end zone, it's game over for whoever is trying to tackle you.
Hands down. Yeah, I feel like that's just the running style that I have, and just priding myself not to get tackled by one guy. And if they do, it's a really good tackle. So
not like an alter ego or anything when you get out there, or mindset, because like even Drake said, like it's like a different person.
No, it's for sure a switch. It's for sure a switch. I think once you get the ball in the hand and all of that, but then once you're out the field, it's kind of like okay. But then once we get on the field, it's like all right, we gotta switch it. Yeah.
If Bijan is elusive, what is your running style?
I'll let you guess. I feel like you already know the answer.
I was gonna say boulder or bowling ball.
We'll say that.
Yeah. What would you say though?
Bulldozer. That's not good.
I guess Bauer.
Bauer.
I guess like Madden stats. Like they'll say Bijan's elusive, and then I'll have like a power header or a ram, whatever it is.
Do you have one you want to call yourself though?
No.
No. Okay. That's fair.
Not yet. At least.
So we can call you a bowling ball or bulldozers or whatever. Ram.
Whatever you guys want.
He's like, I don't care.
I just always think of like the David Montgomery and Jahmyr Gibbs. They did that like all last season. There was like the Sonic the Hedgehog and the other one. Did you guys have something like that? Did you ever think about?
Still making it up.
Yeah, there's like Thunder and Lightning.
I like the Thunder and Lightning.
Yeah,
See, I didn't mind the Thunder and Lightning. I thought it was cool.
Yeah.
I thought it made sense.
It does.
And I thought it was pretty well, but everyone's trying to make different names, so whatever you guys think, whatever you guys think goes, man.
Stick with Thunder and Lightning.
Hey, whatever you guys want.
Yeah. Elusive is like so
we're here
self-explanatory.
for you guys.
Yeah. Raheem kind of said that Tyler is probably the least talked about superstar on the team. So what do you see from him just on a day-to-day basis?
Man, Tyler is just such a great leader for our room. I think he's one of the oldest guys in our room. I've been here for 4 years, and I've learned so much from him as far as just his work ethic, and especially with him and welcome me in when I came here as a rookie. It's just been great, and just being able to grow with those guys, not just on a football basis, but really as a brotherhood basis, as a family. We have such a tight-knit group and a running back group, and it starts with our coach, and it trickles down from Tyler to B to Los and to me. So just a blessing to be with those guys.
What have you learned, or what do you kind of watch and see from your perspective of, Tyler and Bijan? Because Tyler said that Bijan's elusive. He's more of like the pounded guy. What do you kind of notice and see?
Yeah, like we all feed off of each other, and we all look at each other's strengths, and we try to see, okay, what in our area of can we grow as football players? So, I repeat what Ty said as far as Bijan being extremely elusive and things like that, and we learn off of that. And then Tyler being a big bell cow guy, who refuses to go down by one guy, and we learn off of that too. And B can be a power back as well, just because he's elusive and stuff doesn't mean that he can't, be able to get down there in the trenches. So for me, being able to learn, being in the position that I'm in, I get to learn from two amazing great backs, of growing in myself as far as being elusive and also being that guy who can get the 30 yards. So it helps me in my game, and for all of us, we just feed off of each other. We all seek to help each other grow. And I think that if you go out there and just see how we work as a running back group, how we finish, how regardless of whether we're getting the ball or not, that's just the mindset that we have as running backs as far as, being the first ones out there to lead and to finish and do what we need to do to help this team win.
Penix called him goofy.
Oh, yeah.
Tyler agrees with that, but won't tell us why he's goofy. So give us a story, or why is he goofy?
I don't know if I have a specific story for you, but I agree with everything that Penix and Ty said. Ty is a very, very goofy guy, and that's just his personality, man. And I don't understand how you can not love Ty and B. And really, like I said, our room is just very close-knit. We all, love each other. Those are my brothers, and like I said, it starts from the coach and it trickles out all the way to me as being the youngest guy in the room, and we love each other. And yeah, but Tyler's a very, very goofy guy.
Is he like a prankster, or like just a goofy guy, like an energy type of thing in the locker room, or all the above?
All the above.
Okay.
All the above.
How much does watching Tyler and how he moves encourage you as someone who's trying to make your own name? Because Tyler, obviously y'all have Bijan, and he's making the big headlines, and Bijan this, Bijan that, but Tyler still is being so productive and having his own career year.
Yeah, I think what I'm learning is just understanding the roles that we have as a running back group. Right now, with me being able to watch those guys, understanding my role and be able to get opportunities to play on special teams, to be able to help the team there. And, B has a role and Ty has a role. So we've all accepted the roles that we have. And there's no, obviously we compete as a room to help each other get better, but there's no pride. There's all humility. It's all family. We're all working together for a single goal. So you never see that out of any one of us as like there's a hierarchy. We all accept our roles and what it is, and we try to do our best and what our roles to be the best and to help each other be better in our roles and to help this team ultimately win for us to be a successful offense. So, just the humility that we have from the room in general, is just amazing, and I think that really sends a message as far as what we believe about in our room and how productive we can be.
What kind of advice do you go to Tyler specifically for?
Really anything. I think the biggest thing is just a lot of pass protection. Excuse me, Tyler's such a great pass protection back, and not just with that, but he's been doing a lot of great stuff as far as running the ball, specifically in wide zone. So both equally, Ty and B, I go to those guys and really ask for advice, and they even come up to me, as a young guy, and help me with my technique and make sure that I stay on top of my A game. We go, regardless of what my role is in that game, because at the end of the day, we're all trying to get better. We're all trying to improve so that when our numbers call, we can help this team win in the best possible way we can. So going to both Ty and B is amazing because, like I said, those guys are leaders, and we feed off of each other. And I'm just in a blessed position to learn off of two of the best in the league. So
we're just past the halfway point of the season. How are you feeling, and what has this been like?
Man, it's been amazing. It's a blessing to be in the position that I'm in. I'm in the midst of the adversity that we're having as a team, in the midst of not being successful as far as winning a game. It's encouraging to see how we still come in every day and we still work. We still love each other. With that, there's no jealousy. There's no negativity on the team, in the offense, in the defense. Like, there's just no negativity. You don't see that. I think we all understand that we're blessed to be able to play this game. You know, God has given each and every one of us the ability and a chance to be able to go here. I mean, I just went to Germany. I never went to Germany my entire life. You know, so the opportunity for me to go do that, man, in the midst of obviously not that's a tough football game to lose, but when you look at the large landscape of things, we have the opportunity to do things that, you know, millions of people in the world don't have the opportunity to do. You know, so it's all about perspective, and I'm just grateful for the opportunity that God has given me to be here and to grow as a football player and to grow as a man.
I guess post-Germany isn't the best time to ask this question, but are you still halfway through having like pinch me moments I'm in the NFL?
Always. As a matter of fact, I had that moment today. You know, I was just, you know, walking to the indoor, getting ready for practice. I'm like, man, like, this is my job. You know, like, you know, I'm 23 years young, and, you know, I get to do this for a living. And that's, I mean, I'm so blessed to be in the business that I'm in. I'm so grateful that God has allowed me to be here on this team for such a time as this. And I just want to, you know, do all that I can to help this team win, and do all that I can to help lead others to Christ. So that's my biggest thing, and God has been faithful in helping me do that. So I'm very grateful for that.